Helping us to understand the scope of the growth in cryptocurrency crime and how we can protect ourselves is Special Agent Justin Crenshaw with the FBI. He leads a cyber squad out of the Tampa field office, which covers 18 counties, including Southwest Florida. Agent Crenshaw, thank you for joining us.
Sandra, thank you very much for having me.
So we want to start with the basics here. We want you to help us understand what is cryptocurrency and why it is just so attractive now to criminals.
Cryptocurrency or virtual currency, it's digital money. It's designed to be secure and decentralized. It's not influenced by governments, banks, other institutions. It uses a blockchain, it's called, that helps as a decentralized public ledger. And basically, the end result is that when somebody pays for a transaction with crypto, the recipient can be certain that he or she is receiving the specified amount of crypto without duplicate payments, that those payments can't be pulled back. And so the benefit for criminals is because it's decentralized, it doesn't go through governments, it doesn't go through banks like traditional fiat currency. So it's easier for criminals to maintain anonymity, very easy for them to move it between exchanges, and then very difficult for us in law enforcement to recover those funds. So as a result, crypto has really become the currency of choice for cyber criminals.
So for years, we've been doing stories, telling folks that, when you wire money, be careful. You don't want to wire, money to bad guys because it's virtually impossible to get it back. Is cryptocurrency even tougher for you and your fellow agents to, one, catch criminals and help victims?
For sure. In the FBI, when we investigate, a big part of our investigations is following the money. And when you talk about traditional investigations, that's wire transfers, working with banks, following the money as it moves through different bank accounts. But with cryptocurrency, because the bad guys have different ways to anonymize their activity, to move it, to mix it, to get it off overseas quickly, and by its very nature, the government's not involved in those transactions. FDIC banks aren't involved in those transactions. So again, very difficult once the fraud is identified for law enforcement and banks to work together to recover that.
Help us to understand the types of folks who are being targeted, what it looks like in your Tampa field office. I know you cover 18 counties. What are really the most common ways people are getting scammed?
Yeah, so cryptocurrency, these are often traditional scams that were used, that did previously use wire transfers or prepaid Visa cards, things like that. And now those have really been surpassed by cryptocurrency as the means of choice to facilitate crime. And so it's oftentimes traditional investment schemes where we see criminals establishing a relationship with victims. These are oftentimes these are online relationships. They'll start out as a friendship or even sometimes a romantic relationship. And then as they develop trust, the scammers will get the victims to start sending money, sometimes via those traditional forms with PayPal payments or bank transfers. But then they're quick to try to get the victims to move to crypto. And so some of the different scams could be like lottery scams, or often we see them impersonating government officials. It's the IRS calling about a tax issue, or a bank that is calling with an issue. They're trying to get those victims, they're trying to establish trust, they're trying to get the victims to believe that they need to act now, because oftentimes those schemes also introduce a sense of urgency, trying to get the victims to act without thinking. And then anymore, it's traditional scams, but with the new twist of using crypto for currency, we've also seen an uptick in crypto ATMs being used.
So we know that some communities have banned crypto ATMs, and we know that local, state, and federal lawmakers are looking at either restricting or regulating these crypto ATMs. Do you think that is absolutely necessary at this point?
It's a complicated issue. I'm sure there are some legitimate uses for crypto ATM, but from my perspective, they absolutely facilitate a large amount of fraud. And the way that works is I talked about these relationships that the scammers will establish on online platforms. And then in order to get paid, they'll send the victims to get cash from their bank. and then to go to these crypto ATMs along with a QR code generally, and that QR code is linked to the scammer's account. So at the crypto ATM, they put in cash, it's immediately wired to the scammer's account, and then oftentimes impossible to recover.
How large amounts of money are we talking about victims losing?
Um, Hundreds, sometimes, anywhere from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands of dollars to really life savings.
Heartbreaking. Help us to understand that you're also seeing an increase in these cryptocurrency investment scams where people think they're investing in legitimate cryptocurrency, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I talked a little bit about how crypto is a modern twist on traditional scams, but crypto itself can be the scam. We've seen a huge uptick in people who are getting duped into investing in crypto. And again, it's another investment fraud where people are enticed by the promise of small investments, large returns. Sometimes these investment schemes are offering 20%, 50%, 100% guaranteed returns. And again, I'd caution your listeners, your audience to not trust anything with guaranteed returns. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So the way that the crypto fraud works is they'll get the victims to invest in crypto, and then they'll often produce fake profit statements to string the victims along and get them to invest more and more. And they'll keep stringing these victims along for as long as possible. But when the victims ask for money, nothing's ever returned. There is no return on investment.
So how do we protect ourselves? How do we know when something is not legit?
Mm-hmm. Um, I, first, I understand crypto itself is not necessarily bad. There are some legitimate uses of crypto. It could help facilitate buying things overseas. It's quick, but I would be very skeptical about anybody that's trying to get you to invest in crypto. I mentioned not to invest in anything with guaranteed returns. I would also say don't invest in anything you don't understand. If you want to understand, if you want to invest in crypto, understand how the funds are kept safe. One example is when you open a crypto account, you open a crypto wallet, it's called, you get a seed phrase. And whoever has that seed phrase controls the wallet. We've seen several victims in Florida that have been scammed into disclosing their seed phrase. And once they have that, the money's immediately moved out of the wallet and gone. So I would caution, nobody should ever have your seed phrase. The seed phrase really is the money. But that's just one example of, if you don't understand any investment vehicle, be it crypto or whatever, I would caution you against investing in it.
And if somebody is pressuring you saying that there's a warrant out for your arrest, or you owe taxes to the IRS, or you didn't pay a fine, and they need you to send money quickly from a crypto ATM machine, bad idea, right?
Absolutely. And again, all of these scams they come with a sense of urgency, and either you are in trouble because there's back taxes or something, or, like I mentioned before, they often the scammer will develop a relationship with the victim, and sometimes it's the scammer who's in trouble. And so the sense of urgency is send me money or bad things will happen to me. And, a relatively recent example we saw in Florida was somebody that was a scammer that was pretending to be an immigrant. Claiming he had been detained by customs, and then he convinced the victim to go to a crypto ATM, send money to help him out of his predicament, saying that he didn't have access to traditional ATM or other bank account. And again, and this is one example where this didn't happen overnight. This was a relationship the scammer had developed with the victim for over a year, and over that year, he convinced him to send wire transfers, other traditional payments, eventually and very patiently working his way to the cryptocurrency and getting him to send money through the crypto ATM.
Special Agent Justin Crenshaw with the FBI, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Sandra.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. We've got more great content for you, from news to the arts to the environment. So be sure to like and subscribe to WGCU's YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms for the stories that matter to you.